Do you guys hear that?
Is that boss music?
Go naked and just go with the sword, and that's it.
What do I do with all this?
It says it in the title.
Hello, welcome to the Unearthing Games Podcast. I am Jacob, the lead excavator on this expedition. Joining me are...
I'm Erica.
I'm Nick.
And we dig games. So, the basic deals of this podcast is every week we find a game that we, that looks interesting to us, and we're just like, hey, I want to play that, so we play it. And we come and we give our 2 cents about it. On top of that, we also find a board game that we all seem interested in, and that we haven't played before, and we play that too. And we give our 2 cents on that. But, before we get into all that, how have y'all been? What have y'all been up to? Erica.
On the spot. So we built a blanket fort this weekend.
Yeah, we
Wow.
did.
That was fun.
Straight back to 5th grade. Okay.
It was fun, but also a nightmare. Because, I don't know if we've talked about it on here. We have 2 miniature schnauzers, and they really like to lay on blankets. So
Oh, I know.
they thought that these sheets being propped up by, fragile tripods and, rubber bands, they're like, this shouldn't be here. I'm supposed to lay on this. So the fort might have gotten pulled down once by the pups and once by me.
Wow.
But that's beside the point. So
Well,
what else have you been up to,
anything
Erica?
fun?
Did I play anything fun? No.
No.
I've been watching a lot of YouTube videos of people playing things, but I haven't personally played anything other than the game I'm going to talk about.
Playing vicariously.
Oh, well, no, that's a lie. I did play a little bit of the Mario 64 on the Switch.
The remake or the re-release.
That's not even the remake. It's the re-release. That's just as bad.
Did they just not change anything?
It's still so janky. So janky.
Yeah, they didn't change anything, and it's still like the little square. So even on like our huge TV we have in the upstairs living room, like
itty-bitty square.
it's just the square.
It's a square.
It's a bit disappointing.
Wonderful.
It's standard definition.
Nick, you play anything fun?
I played the game I'm going to talk about. I've also I went back to RimWorld. I started one of those Naked Brutality runs. My save is entitled Naked and Afraid, like the TV show. And it's actually going really well. I've been playing with Randy Random, and surprisingly, he has only thrown like one sucker punch at me, where it was a mech cluster. Other than that, though, all I've been having to deal with is predators keep trying to eat my dogs, which is awful. So,
That's also just because you play with so many mods, though.
Well, no, but even having like panthers and bears and stuff, those are always, because I always wind up landing in jungle environments. So the wildlife are elephants and rhinos. Panthers aren't going to hunt elephants and rhinos. So what do they pick? They're going to hunt my huskies, or they're going to hunt my colonists. So I always get a little ping that's like, Panther 2 is hunting Husky 1. And it's like, scramble the soldiers, everybody to arms! And of course, it's the Naked Brutality run, so you start with nothing. So I researched up to great bows, and great bows are amazing. So They have super long range, they actually deal a ton of damage. And my starting dude, I re-rolled him until he had a high shooting skill. So
Nice.
So he can actually shoot pretty well. He can't do a lot else.
The real challenge would be to just take whatever person it gives you to start with.
The first one it gave me had like a psychite addiction, and I was like, I'm not starting the game with psychite addiction on Naked and Afraid. It's like, no.
You see, Erica.
Like, my dude almost died from food poisoning. Like, that's how bad Naked and Afraid is.
Yeah, that's not okay. Yeah, having a colonist that has, is not good at anything in Naked Brutality is a death sentence. That colonist is going to die.
Yeah.
And you're going to be stuck waiting for somebody to stumble upon.
When everyone's dead, you start over. You don't wait.
That's just it.
No, I had a... Not if you get a really good map.
It's right. You get the best darn spawn, and you're like, not giving this up, not doing it.
To hell with that colonist. He was useless. I'll wait for somebody better. But
other than RimWorld, though, I've been exploring Game Pass, trying to find just to see how Game Pass works. It's really neat. I really like the. It's still in beta, but the Game Pass thing works where you can download like the Xbox app on your PC and download games on your Xbox, and so it cloud saves the files together. And so I've been tinkering with that. The game I played this week that I'm going to talk about, I did a lot of that where, if Erica was watching TV or something and I wanted to play this, I'd go and play it on my computer, and it would just take like a second. It'd be like, all right, sync and cloud save, bam.
Have fun.
And it was really nice. Like I said, the PC thing is
Nick
still in beta.
doesn't like spending time with me. I'll go to the other room.
Don't be like that. When you're watching
this
watching
weekend,
Air
left the house
Disasters
with the dogs.
When you're watching
to
Air
get away from
Disasters, I want to go do something else. I don't want to listen to how, 30 years ago, 80 people died in a plane crash in Albany. It's like, I don't want to hear that. I really don't want to hear that. And it's like, and all I had to do was pilot
It's not about them
air.
dying. It's about why it happened.
And it's 90% of the time, it's because these pilots who are super trained screwed up. It's like, I don't want to hear that if I'm ever going to fly again.
No.
I don't want to.
A
I know
lot of
people
the
make
times
mistakes.
it's like bad maintenance issues.
Well, again,
Which isn't
somebody
any
else
better.
did something wrong, and I'm going to die for no reason.
I think you're not helping Nick's fear of planes at all.
No. So if she's watching, Air Disasters or was it Cold Cases or whatever, I don't want to. Like, I sat and listened to that one with you, and what was it where like the girl was abducted by her uncle or something like that, and no one knew. That really like made me nauseous, and I was like, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah.
And so if Erica's watching murder shows and death shows, I go do something else. And
Fun.
Yeah,
nice.
But we did try to watch. Well, no, this was a long time ago. We did try to watch. What was it, Tiger King? But as soon as the pups
you did not try to watch that. I tried to watch that one night when you were playing video games, and then it started coming on, and there's like a whole bunch of tigers attacking each other, and Kiora was, one of our dogs, Kiora was just sitting there like, I'm so interested in this, and I was like, no, cover your eyes, and I couldn't watch it because she was
traumatizing our children. But
oh man.
All right, so enough about us. Jacob, what have you been up to this week?
So I've recently gotten back into Battlefield 4.
Wow.
Which is a really old game in video game standards. But hey, it was $8 on Steam, and I got all the DLC, so I was really happy.
Oh, I mean, $8 for a game and DLC, you can't pass that
That's
up.
pretty good.
It was great.
Yeah.
I got it on sale, and I remember it because me and my friends from high school had so much fun in the multiplayer. We would just hop in a game and just mess around. It was wonderful. Have a good time. And I do the same thing now.
Is that the one that you had some YouTube videos of?
Yes.
I remember watching you and the shenanigans that you and your friends, and you did a pretty good job of having the audio, the voice. You had the subtitles pop up on the screen basically. I thought you did a pretty good job of that. But
oh yes, I was very inspired by Soviet Womble and Russian Badger and the way they do their things. But
to say Womble,
yes,
how could you not be inspired by Womble?
Right, he's a wonderful Britishman. But no, I've been playing that a lot. I got one of my coworkers into it, so I play with him every so often. And
okay.
But yeah, I've just been enthralled by it some more. So it's great. And also I've been playing the game I'm going to talk about.
Okay, awesome.
But yeah, so all right. Well, now that our private endeavors have been covered, Nick, what game did you pick to play this week?
Okay, yeah. So the game that I played this week is called Spiritfarer. Spiritfarer. It's kind of hard for me to say it, but it's by Thunder Lotus Games. So I thought it was pretty cool. I'd played some games by these guys before, and that's how I heard about this one. It only came out earlier this year, I think. So it looked really great. On Steam, the game is classified as a building management adventure indie funny game. I've never seen the tag funny before on something on Steam, but it had the tag funny. So I thought that was interesting. So the premise of the game is that Charon, the ferryman for the underworld, he takes people from the land of the living to the land of the dead, is retiring, and you play his replacement, who is this little girl that I guess she died. Yeah, her name is Stella, and she has like this big star-shaped hat. That's like her signature look, I guess. I don't know. Other than that, she's just
because Stella, star.
Interstella.
Okay.
Stella means star, doesn't
Does
it? And like Italian?
I have no idea, but if it does, that totally makes sense. But
it's like like if you look up that name on like baby name lookup dictionary thing, whatever it's called, it'll say a star or something like that.
Okay. But yeah, so she has a giant star-shaped hat. I have no idea what her credentials are. Like, why did Charon pick her, to take over the ferry business? But
in real life, she was a toll booth operator. He's like, you're perfect.
Maybe she operated gondolas or something like that. Who knows? But so she got picked to take over the spirit ferrying business. And so the whole premise of the game is you have this boat that operates as your base. You can build different buildings and stuff there. And it has a big world map, and you can sail around, and there's a bunch of islands, right? I guess this is areas like Purgatory or Limbo or something, where everyone in this world is dead, but they are not ready to pass over, I guess. Cross over to the other side. And so your whole mission is to go to these different islands and find spirits that are kind of ready to go, but not fully ready to go. And so they're like, oh, of course, I'll come live on your boat, But it's not like, oh, take me to the afterlife. It's, I'll live on your boat for a while. So you whenever you pick up spirits, you have to make them a house. You have to build yourself a kitchen so you can make them food. As you pick up more and more crew members, their needs start to get more and more elaborate. Like, one of the first people you get, her whole thing is like, oh, I don't eat fruit. I'm sorry. I've never liked this stuff. But she loves coffee. So you grow coffee beans, and she like it actually was really surprising that this is like a cartoony kind of game, but they swear and stuff like that. Like she'll like at one point she totally dropped an F-bomb, and she's like, this is the best effing bowl of popcorn I've ever had. And I'm like, well, that was unexpected in this little cartoony game. Like, I kind of half expected this to be family friendly, but no, it's not. And it's pretty neat. So as you go about, you pick up all these spirits, you have to meet their needs, you develop a relationship with them. So you talk to them all, and over periods of time, they start to kind of reveal aspects of them to you. And to me, it seemed like all of them had some sort of bond to Stella back when she was alive. Like, I know one dude was like her uncle. I'm not sure what the rest of them are to her, but they all seem to know her. But one dude was her uncle, and he was my favorite guy because he ate anything. He was the easiest to please with food. I could give him fruit. I could give him coffee. The only thing he wouldn't take was when you botch a meal and it's like, disgusting food. He wouldn't eat that. He's like, come on, kiddo, you're better than this.
Even he has standards.
Even he's got standards, but he would eat everything, and so I loved that about him. Everyone else was super picky, but it was neat. And so you develop your relationships, you improve their mood, you go on little adventures, you find all these different areas, and so like the long-term goal is to take them to the afterlife. So in this game, that means you take them to a place called the Everdell, which is like I said, it's the gate beyond. So. And as you develop relationships with these people, they'll tell you when they're ready to go. And usually it's at the climax of some story with them. Like, one example is there's two of these spirits that you wind up finding that are, I guess, an estranged married couple. Like, you find them both at separate times, and you find the wife first, and she wants you to go and find her husband, at some point. At first, she doesn't care about him. And she wants you to go find him, and... he's a bum that I guess in their life he, was, cheating on her and stuff like that. And you go and you find him in the afterlife, and his whole story, it's building up where he's acting like he wants to make it up to her. He wants to, like, you're getting him like a bouquet of flowers and chocolates and all these things where he's preparing like this big romantic date for her, you know? And the climax of his story is like, psych, it was for another woman. And so, and literally right after that, and you find out what he did, he's like, okay, kid, I'm ready to go to the Everdell. And it's like, really, dude? Like, that's it? Like, I had faith in you.
Well, maybe she was his true love.
Wait, like the wife that's on my boat was his true love, or the woman that he had a super date for?
The other girl that the other girl that he threw the night for.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but but that's one of the examples. A lot of the other characters had way more interesting and in-depth stories that all had really interesting ways to go about it. That was probably my least favorite group out of the two of them was the married couple. I would say their characters probably had the least depth. But there's a whole bunch of different spirits you get as you ferry a number. Each time you take one across, you get a flower that it spawns in their house. So you can never get rid of their houses even after they're gone through the door. But when you take them through the door, you go back to their house and there is a spirit flower there. And the spirit flower is kind of this currency you have to take back to the boat builder, the shipwright. And that's how you wind up getting upgrades for your boat that'll let you get through different areas. So the first barrier you hit is an ice wall, right? Or it's like icebergs and stuff like that. So he makes you an ice plow for your boat. But you have to have X amount of spirit flowers to go through it, you know?
I was going to say, can you just be like, no, you're not going. You don't deserve to go.
I actually kind of wondered about that, because at one point near the end, which I did actually finish the game, it was fantastic. One point near the end, I think I had 4 different spirits on my boat at once that were all like, I'm ready to go to the Everdell. Let's go now. And I'm like, in a minute, I'm busy. You know, I'm doing other stuff. I got things to do. So by the end, I was practically was it Davy Jones from the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, where it's I know I'm supposed to be ferrying dead people, but I'd rather do something else. But it was really interesting. As you build more and more stuff for your boat, you wind up making a bunch of different workshops, basically. And so it's a whole bunch of little mini games in a bigger game. And I don't know why, but I've loved games that are comprised of a bunch of mini games that kind of fit into a bigger arc. It makes me think back to Fable 2, where you would get jobs, and the job was be the bartender, go chop wood, be a blacksmith. And it was always those goofy little mini games where it's as the bartender, it's fill the beer, throw, fill the beer, throw, fill the beer, throw, and it's all about timing, you know? And it's just a simple, goofy thing. And that's how it was for this with the, there's a room called the loom. Or, yeah, I think it was the loom. And so you would get fiber, and you would weave it into string, and then fabric. And it was all about hold the button till you hit the mark, and then bam, make the cloth, bam, cloth, bam, cloth. And it was just a goofy little mini game, but it was always so fun. The hardest one for me was the wood chopping one, because you're guiding. It's you're taking logs and cutting them into planks, and the log is coming across and it has a dotted line through it, but it's this curvy zigzag line, and you have to make sure you keep the blade with the dotted line. And with the controller, because I was playing this on controller, gosh, that was so hard. You had no precision movement at all. but yeah, so I honestly really enjoyed it. It was a very fun experience. I don't know if it has a lot of replayability for me. It did have a lot of stuff to do, but to me, this game seems like it wants to tell a story. And I don't know, for me, it seems like a lot of games, if they're so story-driven, it almost feels like once you know the ending, you're kind of well, do I want to go listen to that story again?
And there's nothing you can do during the game to change the way the story goes?
I don't know. I might have to go look up some stuff online. I tried my hardest to go without having to Google stuff for this game. But at one point, I hit a brick wall where the one dude wanted fried chicken. And all the cooking is take X ingredient and X ingredient and throw it in the oven and hope it makes something. And so I finally got chicken, and I put chicken in there with everything I could find, and nothing made fried chicken. Nothing.
What made the fried chicken?
I had to have fat, which I had no idea how to make. I had no idea how to make or get fat. I mean, it does when you say it. So, like, I looked all over the world to find fat, everywhere that I could go. And so finally I had to Google how to make fat, and I was very sad. I tried so hard. I didn't want to Google things, and then...
Well, if you just sit on the couch for months at a time eating nothing but junk food, I mean, that should be pretty easy, right?
Yeah, so, like I said, I feel like maybe I ought to go back and give it another try. Like, maybe give it some time. Like, pick it back up next year, you know, and try it again. And see if I could actually create different outcomes. But it seemed like a very emotionally charged kind of game. Because, like, it very much encourages you to talk to these passengers and get to know them and learn their stories. And for me, the biggest thing was I felt kind of like playing a detective. Like, I wanted to figure out what their bond to Stella was. Like, the one guy made it easy. Like, he straight up tells you he's your uncle. And you're like, oh, okay, that's simple. But everybody else, it wasn't so cut and dry. And so I thought that was a really interesting aspect of the game. But
wasn't there something weird with the uncle, though? Like, you don't take him to the door or something?
Yeah, that was one thing that I guess it was a gripe I had with the game, was that it did seem like... Because, like, that happened. Like, when it came time for him to be ready to go to the door, he just disappeared instead of having you take him to the door. And I never found out why. And so we had to go and Google it. And it turned out, like, if you were a premium Kickstarter for this game, you got some story art book that gave you the backstory to the game. And I was like, that's not cool. Like, if there's actual parts of this story that are missing because I didn't know you were a Kickstarter and I didn't go and give you $100, you know? And so now you're going to deny me parts of the story for a story-driven game. So that put a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth. But from what I could see, he was the biggest red flag about just glaring holes in the story. There were other ones that I'll admit, as I got later in the game, I got a bit lazy where I just didn't want to talk to them anymore. I wanted to go do other stuff. I wanted to go.
You're not as important.
I wanted to go do blacksmithing and stuff like that. Like I said, the very last passenger I picked up, I had no interest in them at all. I think they were a teacher. That's all I know. I don't know. I didn't want to talk to them. They were they stuck their nose up at every piece of food I gave them. And I was like, you're way too picky for me and way too stuck up. I don't have the time of day for you. Like I said.
So you mentioned you have to feed them. What if you don't feed them?
I don't know. I know that after a while they start pestering you constantly. Like, but I never let them get totally. I never just let them go extended periods without food. Like, whenever you click on each character,
they can't die.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're already dead, right? So I don't know. I don't know what happens if you just don't feed them. I mean, their mood goes down because a lot of them, if you keep their mood high, they'll do stuff for you. So, like the uncle, if you keep him in a high mood, he gives you wood planks randomly based on whatever area that you're in. So, you know, like he might give you maple planks or oak planks or whatever. And then, like the wife in the estranged married couple, she, I guess, was a miner in her life before, so she'll bring you ores. It's like, cool, so silver ore, iron ore, awesome. And so they would all do different things depending upon, like, if their mood was high. I'm guessing the only cost of not feeding them is that they don't do stuff for you. I'm guessing. Yeah. I know every character, when you click on them, they would have a little circle that was like options to do, like talk, feed, give them items, stuff like that. And the food one always would change based on how frequently you've fed them. And it was an apple. And so, like, if it's been a little bit, the apple would have one bite taken out of it. And if it's been a while, it would just be an apple core, you know? And so, other than that changing, I didn't really see any kind of impact of not feeding them.
That's interesting.
Other than they would start talking to you without you clicking on them. They'd be like, "Hey there, kiddo. It's been a while since I've had a bite. Think you could help me out?"
Make your own food, freeloader.
I'm feeling a mite peckish. You think you can go whip up some fried chicken for me? Some dumplings while you're at it. And don't forget my 2-liter Coke. You know?
My goodness.
Yeah, basically they're like the worst house guests you could ever have. Basically. I don't know. No, they were actually all really interesting people. So I really enjoyed it. I did. Like I said, it did seem like there were some glaring holes in the story. But all in all, in spite of the holes, it still seemed like it was a good, coherent story. There wasn't a ton of those glaring, like, well, why did that happen situations.
Yeah.
The uncle was the biggest one. And so I really liked it. Like I said, it's definitely something I would recommend for people to play if you're looking for something it's a management sort of game, you know, you're constantly like growing food, you know, making buildings, harvesting resources. It's a little harvesty management type of game. So I would totally recommend it. I would. I really enjoyed it. It had a cute soundtrack. The mini games were fun. Fishing, while was awesome, was frustrating, but fun. I'd really recommend it. Like I said, I would definitely go back and play it out. Play it again. Like I said, I'll probably have to go and Google if there's alternate endings. Because if there are alternate endings, maybe I could get a better one. I don't know. So that was Spiritfarer by Thunder Lotus Games.
Cool. Erica, what you have?
So this week I played The Long Dark, and that's by Hinterland Studio, Inc. That's the developer and publisher. And on Steam, their tags are Open World Survival Craft. That's all one tag. Survival and Open World.
So one whole tag is Open World Survival Craft.
Yes.
Oh my gosh. What a mouthful.
So, The Long Dark, I think this was a game that went through the stages of being like early access and then finally got its release kind of thing. So the release date on this is August 1st, 2017. So it's been out for a while now. But there are different modes in this game. So there's a story mode where you can play through a story, or there's just survival where you just try to survive. And the premise of the game is that you are flying an airplane to some very remote part of the world. And something happens so it says that there's a geomagnetic disaster. So I'm not too sure what that would mean, but in the game it's always snowing. Like you're in perpetual winter. And so the whole survival bit is surviving in the cold. You can freeze if you get hurt. Like it's very brutal. So I started playing this game and I decided I wanted to do the story since I didn't know about the game a lot, and I didn't want to just go into survival mode, because that doesn't seem very fun. So I went into the story mode, and they have 3 options for the difficulty. So you can choose the easiest one, where it's easy on you. Then there's the middle for, just general people that play video games every so often. And then there's, like, the experienced one, where it's, like, very brutal. And I was like, well, I've played video games. I'll just go with the middle choice. And that was a horrible decision.
Oh.
So in the story mode, you start out and you're flying this plane with this lady. So you're a guy. You're like this older guy that when you first start out, you start out in like some airplane hangar in the middle of some winter storm. And you're looking around and you find a picture of like you, your dad, and your brother next to your plane. And it's a little prop plane, like it's only like a 2-person plane thing. And then you also find a picture of you as like a doctor. And when you look at that picture, the guy says like, oh, the good old days. So I'm assuming at some point you were a doctor. Well, then this lady, the phone starts ringing and you answer the phone and it's like the, I don't know, director of the airport or someone of that nature. That's like, I told her not to come, you can't fly in this weather, but she's insistent and whatever. And then this lady shows up and you guys have a history, and it seems like you were married before, but you're not anymore, obviously, because you're living alone in this airplane hangar in the middle of winter. Eternal winter somewhere up north. But so she's insistent that you fly her to this remote town up north on some island, supposedly, because they need help. That, like, she's a doctor and she has this briefcase and she needs to go there and help people. But she won't say why or what's going on or anything like that, or what's in the case. Very suspicious, right?
Yeah.
So
what's in the box?
So you get in the plane and you start flying her over there, and I guess this is when the geomagnetic disaster happens, because, like, you're flying north and you can see the northern lights, and then all of a sudden they get super bright and everything starts shaking and your plane, all of the electrical systems go out. So your plane crashes. And the next thing you know, you just wake up in, like, a fiery, snowy field, if that makes sense, on the side of a mountain, and he's just like, I need to get out of here. And so when I first started playing this on, you know, the medium difficulty, I was like, okay, that means I need to get out of this hole as fast as possible. So I was walking around trying to find a way out, and then I, like, basically died of hypothermia, because apparently, even though he said, I need to find a way out of here as soon as possible, he doesn't mean as soon as possible. He means after he had a nap and wakes up in the morning. That doesn't make any sense to me, but... So I went back and I started the game on easy so that I could actually survive. And so it's my dislikes of this game. So this has very, very positive reviews on Steam. But my dislikes of this game is that it doesn't tell you how anything works. Like, I played on controller, and so yeah, like, obviously A, to interact with things, you know, something like, that's like the only intuitive thing. You use the joystick to walk and move the camera, and A interacts with things. Like, you pick up sticks and you pick up pieces of cloth and wood from the wreckage and stuff like that. But it doesn't tell you anything about, like, crafting or just how your menus work in general. It just throws you into the game. And so he was like, oh, I'm so cold, and I'm standing next to, you know, burning wreckage of a plane, which you would think would be enough to keep you warm, because jet fuel, I'm sure, burns very hot. No, it's not enough. You have to go into a cave and build a little campfire, but it doesn't tell you, like, how to build the campfire. So I'm standing there in the cave, like, okay, this is a good place to build a fire, right? And it's in the cave, it'll be warm. And I'm hitting all the buttons, and I can't figure out, like, how to craft a campfire. Mm-hmm. And it turns out, like, you have to hit Y or X or something, and then a little radial menu will come up, and then you go over to, like, it has different options. There's, like, water, food, light sources, sleeping, and, like, campfires and stuff. And so that's how you build your fire. But it doesn't tell you anything as far as, like, how to get to those menus or what you need to build the things until you try to build it, and it's like, you don't have enough sticks. And so you have to go out into the snow and cold and find more sticks. Yeah. And to me, that was annoying.
I think that's a big deal in survival craft games, that there's very little hand-holding, and it's a lot for you to figure out how to do this stuff on your own. Mm-hmm. And, like, what you need to do certain things, to craft certain things. I think that's a big deal in survival craft games like that.
Just, like, figure it out.
I don't know. I mean, to me, like, I've talked about it before. I've played a lot of, like, Souls games, you know, and they're known for not holding your hand. But in the starting area, it still had little tooltips that are like, hey, man, right bumper to swing your sword. You know, B to roll. It's like, yeah, it's not holding my hand, but it's like, here's how you actually play, you know? Like, I understand, like, a game not teaching you, like, the nuance, you know? Like how, like, when you play RimWorld, it doesn't teach you all the nitty-gritty, like, details. It just tells you, like, the basic things. Like, you know, hit the build menu to build structures, and hit schedule to schedule your people. It doesn't go into all the detail about, like, properly utilizing your time schedules and stuff like that, you know? Like, I don't know. So if the whole game is based around, like, collecting resources and crafting stuff, like, it should at least say, like, hit X to open your craft menu or something, you know? Or you could just stand here and die of hypothermia.
That's always an option.
I mean, just give in. You didn't want to play this game anyway. It's like, just freeze. Just freeze.
So, like, the only tooltip it gave me was, so, you know, you sleep, and then the next morning, it's like, okay, now I have to find a way out of here. It's like, yeah, that makes a lot more sense now that I can see, you know, in the daytime. So you find a way out of this hole in the ground, and you go up to the top and you find your plane. Apparently you weren't wearing your seatbelt, and so you went straight out the windshield, but still survived somehow.
Rookie mistake. Rookie mistake.
But the lady you were flying, who may or may not have been your wife, she's gone, but she left her case behind and her backpack. So she just literally took off running without anything. So you find her stuff and you pick it up and you're like, okay, I'll take this. And you start walking, cause it, as far as I've seen, cause I haven't finished this game, as far as I've seen, this game is pretty linear. I mean, at least the story mode, which makes sense. It's a story. Mm-hmm. So it's like, walk down this way. There's only one way to progress type of thing. There's not like multiple, it's not like an open world kind of thing. So I'm walking through and I get to this clearing. And as I'm entering the clearing, it like one tooltip came up and was like, you should throw rocks at rabbits so that you can eat them. Like that's the way to get food is you throw pebbles at rabbits. And the targeting mechanism in this game is horrible. Uh-huh. Like the guy, he just puts one of his hands up, like he's like, I don't know, like he throws one hand up and then he throws the rock with the other hand. But like you would think that the left hand that he puts up in front of you is the targeting reticle, right? Like maybe like where the thumb meets your hand, or maybe the tip of your thumb or something. No. There's no like there's from what I could tell, there was nothing that was like, this is the targeting thing. Like if you get the rabbit in this crosshair, you're gonna hit him with the rock. So I was just standing there throwing pebbles at bunnies, and then every time he throws it, he's like, ah! And so then all the rabbits get scared and they run away. It's like, be a little stealthy. Wait,
please. Are we talking no, like a Maria Sharapova grunt, you know, where like whenever she hits the ball, it's like, yeah, yeah. Like, is that him throwing a rock?
Yeah, and it's a tiny pebble. Like it's smaller than the palm of his hand, and he's gonna try to knock a bunny out with this, and he's yelling as he's doing it.
He didn't cause like an avalanche or something. You know, if you're up in the snowy mountains, it's like you throw a pebble. Oh, you died to an avalanche. Sorry. Turns out you weren't supposed to throw at these bunnies.
Oh, goodness. So I was just like, screw it. I'm not stopping at the bunnies. I'm just walking through. I'm going to make it to some kind of civilization. There has to be something out here. I was flying out here for a reason, right? So I keep going, and you walk into another little clearing, and there's a wolf eating a bunny. And you're like, wow, I wish I was that wolf right now. But you're just like, oh, maybe I should stay away from that wolf. Maybe if I stay far away from it, it won't see me. Like, okay. Yeah, he's gonna catch a bunny, but he's not gonna notice, you know, a 6-foot guy tromping through the snow. No matter how far away you are, he's gonna see you. So you sneak around this wolf some, you know, magic way, and you see a radio tower in the distance. And you walk over to the radio tower, and from that perch up in the mountain, you can see a town down below, and there's a house, and it's got smoke coming out of the chimney. And you go into this town, and you find this old lady, and she's blind, and she's sitting there with a shotgun, and she almost shoots you as soon as you talk to her. But she's just like, she's the only survivor left in this town. And basically, this is as far as I got, because when you talk to this lady, you're asking about your friend, the lady that went missing from the airplane, and you're asking if she knows anything, and the blind lady is like, yeah, well, maybe I can think about it and maybe I know something. But the bad guys came through here and they took everything. I need food and I need wood. 'Cause I'm blind and I can't survive on my own. So go bring me wood and food. And maybe then I can think about your friend. So it's like, if you give me $20, maybe I'll remember better kind of thing.
That seems like a Band-Aid on a bad situation. So, I mean, if she's a blind lady that can't survive on her own in the wilderness, she's like, bring me some food so I don't die. But, like, in a month when I eat all this, I'ma die.
Yeah, like, I don't understand. And so you go through town, and it's all these houses that they're all, like, log cabins, and they're all, like, torn down or just completely abandoned, and they're just super tiny, and there's, like, one granola bar in this house, and you go over to the next house, and there's, like, a bottle of water, and you go over to the next house and it's like, here's a soda. And so, like, trying to find all the food that this lady wants, because she gives you, like, get me X amount of food. The amount that you need for this lady is so much. Like, and you have to eat too, because you have to survive, and you get hungry and thirsty as you're running around town trying to find all this food for her. And it's just, I don't know, it just didn't seem worth it. And then I couldn't find enough wood, even though this was a lumber town. I couldn't find a hatchet to save my life. I think at the very end, before I gave up, I finally found the stupid hatchet. But, like, how am I supposed to get wood? And I went, and there was a gas station in town, and I found a whole bunch of, like, pallets, like wooden pallets. And I was like, cool, I can break these down, because you can break materials down into their components so that you have resources. And it was like, I need a hatchet to break down these pallets. And I was like, oh, okay, let me go find a hatchet in this, like, huge, like, it's just needlessly big, this area where the town is, and it's just all snow, and you walk around for a few hours, and it's like, oh, I'm freezing, I'm gonna die, and it's just like, let me go build a campfire real quick so I don't die out here. Like, and this is on, like, the easy mode. I can't even imagine what it would be like if you played on the actual survival mode. Like, you'd have to know where the stuff was to get it and get back with enough time and not get hypothermia.
But you'd have to have, like, memorized the map so you know where to get the hatchet, where to get the sodas, where to get how to throw rocks at rabbits. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, the wolves, so in the easiest mode I was playing, they don't attack you. But in the other two modes, they attack you. And there's wolves wandering all around town. So, like, it seems pretty impossible to me. And part of me was thinking, like, can I just leave and not do this, fetch quest? Can I just leave her here to die and just keep walking out in the middle of nowhere? Like I did with the bunnies? Like, screw the bunnies, let's keep going kind of thing? I don't know. That's where I stopped, because it was taking me forever to find anything. And like I said, this place is so big, and there's so many different areas. Like, I was wandering around because I found a clue in some truck. So there's also vehicles just everywhere that you can search. But you have to enter the vehicle, which is a loading screen. Then when you're in the vehicle, search the glove box. And to do any task, you have to press and hold the button for like 5 seconds for it to search. Or open a door. Or just anything. So you sit there and it's like, oh, the glove box is empty. And you exit the truck and it's another loading bit. And then you're outside. And there's like 20 vehicles in this town. And you can get in the backseat of the cars. So if you're thinking about front seat and back seat, and searching the trunk of the cars, that's a lot of time. And like, in one of the cars, I did find a note that was like, 2 lovers that were like, oh, we need to get out of town. I'm gonna hide a cache of survival food, whatever, at the place where we always watch the stars. And it's like, well, that's helpful. Like, how do I know where you went to go watch the stars? And the town is, and so I was just wandering around all the edge of the town, And I ended up finding like a tunnel that went into the mountain, and there was like a bus crashed. Like there was an avalanche that made this bus crash, basically. And I was like, oh no, a school bus. And then I walk up to it, and it's like, location discovered, prison bus crash. And I was like, well, that feels safe. And there's like a dead prisoner just laying there in the snow. And I was just like, yeah, that's scary. Because there is one other guy that I've seen, and he's in the gas station. And he's just sitting there in the gas station. And you can steal all the food that's in the gas station. He doesn't care. But like, is he one of the prisoners? You know, is he gonna kill me one of these? I don't know. Did
you do like the,
I need to play
the
more
Oblivion
of it,
style
but for
thing,
now I'm just frustrated.
Where you walk into someone's house
What?
and you pick up every item that they own in their house? Did you do that to the dude?
Well, just most of the beef jerky. The lady needs food. Where am I supposed to find it?
You're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I mean, he didn't say anything. At first I didn't, because I was like, well, what if he attacks me? Like, I don't know how to fight. I can't even throw a rock at a bunny. How am I supposed to protect myself here? But yeah, then he didn't react when I took something, and I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll just take all the crackers off the shelf, sure. Like, the old lady needs some food. But, yeah, I don't know. I'll have to give it another shot. Like I said, I just got extremely frustrated where I was at, and it didn't seem like there was any progress going. I was just in this town trying to find food and trying to find wood. And the food wasn't even all good food, because I would find food and be like, oh, I'm hungry. Let me eat this granola bar. And then it's like, you have food poisoning. And I'm like, damn it, it's a granola bar. It can't be that hard. But no, food poisoning, and then you have to find medicine to cure your food poisoning, or else you continually take damage until you die from food poisoning. It's not fun.
That's disappointing to hear, because I remember hearing, like you said this game has a lot of positive reviews, right? Like I've never played it, but like I've heard a lot of people praise this game, and I remember it was an early access game, because I remember years ago watching Sips play it. And Sips was playing it when it was on early access. I don't think it had a story mode when he played. I think it was just a sandbox survival mode. And Sips did the whole Sips thing, you know, when things go wrong, he starts screaming at the game. And, you know, in a funny Sips fashion. It's not like rage mode where he throws the controller across the room. It's more of the...
So not like me. Because I was very close.
Yeah, I remember watching it. I think Sips spent a lot of time yelling at this game. Because he'd be like, come on, where's the hatchet? Or something like that. He was always looking for something. Like, where's this?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think you're probably not alone in that frustration. But, like, it makes me wonder,
Everyone
like, what are
loves
you
it.
missing that all these other people obviously got, you know? They're like, oh, this game's wonderful.
I just suck at games.
or nobody got past that section, and they all just gave it good reviews to pretend they did. You know, like when you're in that group of friends and they all know what happened, and you're like, oh yeah, totally. That was a great party, right? Ha 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 ha. You have no idea what happened. You know, you don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So all those positive reviews are just people lying, being like, I totally beat the game.
But yeah,
totally.
it's got 60,000 reviews,
God.
and of all reviews, it's rated very positive.
60,000 reviews. Wow.
So like, it has to be doing something right. And I mean, I probably just really suck at this game.
Okay, so maybe worth giving it another shot.
Yeah.
Okay. And that was The Long Dark, right?
Yeah, that was The Long Dark by Hinterland Studio. And like I said, I bought it on Steam a while ago. It's $30 on Steam, so yeah.
Yeah, sounds really cool. Well, sounds really neat. I guess the game I picked for this week was a game that I saw just on a whim. It popped up on my store page in Steam, and I was like, wow, this really fits the criteria of what we really want to be talking about. And it's called Dreamscaper. And it's So it is by the developers Afterburner Studios, published by Freedom Games and Maple Whispering Limited. I checked both of I checked both of their things. Freedom Games has only published this game, Dreamscaper.
Okay.
And its tags are roguelike or roguelike, action roguelike, permadeath action. From playing it, I don't know about the permadeath. It's weird. So the premise is you are a young woman living in an efficiency, living in a large city. The name of the city is like mentioned, but I don't quite recall it right now. And so the time you get to be her in the real world starts from 7 o'clock in the evening to 9 o'clock. And between that time, you get to go around to different places in the city and interact with different individuals. And as you interact with them, you get to, you increase your relationship with them. And as you increase your relationship, they unlock different things for you to use in your dreams. Like, for example, one of the characters runs a record store, which is a very punk person. You know, they all have their own styles. And from getting her first level with that person, you unlock a weapon that you can find in your dreams, or that you can make in the loadout screen before you go into your dreams.
Okay.
But anyway, you have so much time in the evening to go and hang out with people and interact, go to different places and interact with people. But once you go back to your apartment and you go to sleep, you are brought into basically lucid dreaming. And you're playing the girl as like an action hero, running through what seems to be different like periods of her life. So so just for example, the first level is an old town, like her old town.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a childhood area, and it's not like a big open world. It's procedural levels, but like they're little squares that have portals attached to them that lead to other little squares. And in these squares, you can have anything from, random encounters to, that are bad guys or turrets or things that you destroy, to puzzles that they're not really hard. The ones that I've seen have been like, connect the lines, or there's a Minesweeper one that I think is really nifty. And once you get the puzzles right, they unlock a chest that you can go and they gives you weapon. You have basically magical attacks called lucid attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And they're basically magic, or your dodge, or oh my goodness, heirlooms, I think, is their passive deals. Like they don't have an active effect, but you pick them up and they give you buffs. They're
like wearing necklaces and stuff in a lot of games. Yes,
it's like that, but they're called heirlooms, and it's funny because they're like random things that you would find in your house. Like, oh, this is, oh my goodness, one of them is malware. And they're just like little things that you might find that, to the average person, it doesn't really seem like much, but it holds significance to your character.
Okay.
When you said random things, I immediately thought like toaster or like a vacuum.
See, my mind
like
was
things
scarf.
you find in your house.
Well, okay, so like your loadouts, right, are you have a melee weapon and you have a ranged weapon.
Okay.
So your melee weapon can be anything from like basically earthbending, which was one that I found. I don't really care for Terra Surge, but it's a weapon you can use, to a pull cue, which is a weapon that you unlock through your relationships, to they call it the Breaker Sword, which is basically Cloud's sword from Final Fantasy.
Yep.
And then you have your ranged weapons, which are laser beam eyes, or kunai, throwing knives, or there's a super soaker in there.
Aw.
They're just random little things that it's really cool, and it has a really fun art style. I like it. It has, I feel like, a paper mache feel to it.
Okay.
And it's really fun. You progress through the levels, and once you find the boss of the level, it is basically an aspect of, like, I think the first one you fight is Fear. And they're just the bosses of the different, like, stages. My one gripe with this, though, is that, and maybe it's because I haven't hit a decent enough milestone in the game to, like, have a lock spot, but so whenever you finish a stage, whenever you finish it, you beat the boss, you wake up. And you go through your day life again. You go talk to your people, all that stuff, and then you go back to sleep and you start the next stage, which is not your, it's not the first level, and it moves you onto a different area, and you fight there. Things get harder, and then once I beat that one, you wake up, repeat. If you die in your dreams, you're like thrown awake. It's like, you had a bad dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you wake up with that feeling like you're falling kind of thing.
Yes. And there are downsides to that. You get less time in the real world to go hang out with people. And yeah. Another side effect of that is that once you die, you are bumped all the way back to the beginning. And you have to do that entire sequence over again.
But
then that would kind of be like the permadeath, right?
Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, but
it's a bit jarring.
When you die, does it? You mentioned that between each stage you have the waking hours where you go and make the relationships. Do you lose the stuff you make in those waking hours when you die? Like if you go from stage 1 to 2, and you die in 2, do you lose the stuff you got between 1 and 2?
No, it seems your waking hours they're permanent.
Okay.
I haven't seen a way that those go away at all.
Mm-hmm.
However, your loadout throughout your playthrough stays with you. So, like, the weapons you find in your first stage will be with you in your second stage. The ones you pick up in the second stage will be with you in the third stage. When you die, you're reset. You get a random set of weapons when you start again, unless you go to your dream journal and you craft yourself better gear. And there are, like, crafting elements, like you can pick up, I think, Insight, Solace, Bliss. These are all crafting materials that you use to, funny enough, make real world things that you can give to people to increase your relationship with them faster. Because certain people like certain things. They have a whole, like, gift-giving mechanic, sort of like how Stardew Valley has, people love certain things.
Yeah.
Certain people in the game love things, and if you give them the right things, their relationship will go up faster.
Are there dislikes? So, like, you give, like, the record store lady a hammer, and she's like, I don't like this.
No, not that I've seen. I honestly haven't seen a way for you to lose relationship progression with anybody.
Okay.
So it's like a fail forward game. Like you're meant to not be able to do this. You have to go over and over and build these relationships so that you can unlock different things, right? Because you said you could unlock things based on your relationships with people.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is also a deal where based on your relationship with certain people, they have you can activate a certain buff. There's one that I run with all the time that is passive, like it increases my critical damage.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm not even getting into the fighting. The fighting is it's a bit janky. It's a bit weird, but it is an early access game. So I'm willing to overlook that for, like, okay, it might get better in the future, hopefully.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it does work.
Well, I mean, I would hope it works if it's already on Steam and you have to pay money for it. I mean,
right? It does work, and it is I'm looking forward to what they have in the future for this game.
Okay. Now I've got some questions. I've been thinking. So when you mentioned the different stages about how it's like small squares, basically, are we talking like, think old school Zelda dungeon, you know, where like you're in a square and you move through a door and you're in another square and each square is a different room? Is it like that?
It's that.
Okay. So it's just a bunch of random encounters. That's really cool.
And they're spaced out differently every time you play through that level.
Yeah. Okay. And then thinking about what Erica said, you said something about you said it was a fail forward game, right?
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah.
Did you mean something like back when I played Rogue Legacy? You know how it's like you go and the game is designed where there's no way you can beat it on your first run. You have to keep dying and going over and over and over again so you can unlock upgrades and gear and stuff. Is it basically like that where you don't lose the stuff you've upgraded, but you just have to kind of like reset back, like you go back like a step, but you don't go back to the beginning when you die. Right? Is it kind of like that?
I think it's kind of like that, but I do feel that there is a way to do very well your first try.
Okay.
Like Rogue Legacy is, your first character sucks. Like you have to play through the dungeon multiple times to gather the currency to make your character better. In this one, the currency is locked to your run. It's sand, I'm guessing. You know, like your sand in your hourglass.
Yeah, the sand
sleeping. Yeah.
The same, sleep sand
Sleep
stuff.
sands.
Yeah.
Sleep, sand, stuff.
That just sounds like chloroform. Anyway, but as you gather, like, you can find shops and upgrade stations throughout the stage that, you know, you can buy better weapons, a better dodge, better spells. You can buy health items or bombs that you need to unlock other stages, because some of the doors are blocked by unbreakable objects that you can only use your brain bombs to blow up.
Brain bombs.
Yeah, and there's also things that are locked by keys. Like you have to go find a key to unlock this part of the level.
Mm-hmm.
And or sometimes you need a bomb and a key because, you know, the lock is blocked by an unbreakable object.
So getting some real Legend of Zelda vibes from that.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, it's really neat. I haven't seen that the bad guy progression. It doesn't get ridiculously hard. It's a slow burn.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Like the first guys you fight, it's going to take you a bit to realize, like, okay, they have a defined move set, and like there is a parry like ability you can do. It's pretty neat. I did have to rebind how the ranged weapon works because I couldn't figure out how the keyboard binding for it was, so I bound it to my mouse.
Yeah. For
one of my mouse buttons.
Okay.
But other than that, I haven't noticed any any of the mechanical problems. But it's once the baddies, like, as you move on through the levels, you do feel that the bad guys are harder and they hit harder, but you also have more health because the final heirloom that you gain from every level is basically a health buff. And it gives you more health every time. Mm-hmm. It's the same heirloom every time. And so the next level you start with more health, and once you beat that level, you get an heirloom that gives you more health to go to the next one. And I'm guessing the next level is going to give me more health.
Infinite health.
Health ad infinitum. But you do start to notice that the bad guys are getting better, that they're getting stronger, and they're becoming different, and it does keeps you on your toes about how you want to approach these fights. But
okay,
Dreamscaper, I think it is pretty neat.
That actually sounds really awesome. I mean,
Yeah, it sounds like something I really want to play. I want to see what it looks like.
I just say it does actually sound really cool. It sounds like it has a lot of elements from a bunch of games that I played and loved. So it's kind of like, well, if you have this and this and this, and they're all awesome, then you put them together, it's got to be even greater, right? So.
Oh, it says that it's a top-down action roguelite.
Okay.
I forgot to mention the
like kind of like
top-down
an isometric sort of thing, like Diablo.
Like Diablo, yeah.
Okay.
So sorry about the harsh cut, everybody. Our other footage for the Everdell portion of this show was lost to the just the bowels of Nick's hard drive. Anyway, so we are re-recording this on a separate date, and hopefully it's great. So yeah, Everdell. It's a nice little board game, little worker placement board game, correct? If I do remember correctly.
Yeah, so it's Everdell by Starling Games. And yeah, it's a worker placement, and you play as a specific type of animal, like forest animal. So it's all taking place in a forest under this tree. And there's actually a really cute poem in the instructions about the tree and how we're all living under it and stuff. And the goal of the game is to just build the best civilization compared to all the other animals under the tree.
I remember I played as the platypi, and I was the best. It was wonderful.
You lost.
Nobody needs to know that, Erica.
I need to know it.
Anyway, so
the winner does
I thought
matter.
It was pretty neat. The winner, I guess so. History goes to the victor. Anyway, I thought it was pretty neat. It's a nice little worker placement, resource management game. You have, 3 seasons the game is split up into? You start out
Technically 4.
Yeah.
Because because it's supposed to be every turn is a season, but the very first turn is the end of winter.
Yeah.
That's right. Second turn is spring.
Mm-hmm.
Then where you get an additional worker put into your worker pool to be placed out as to go gather resources, which is how you get resources, is by placing your workers. And summer you get 2 more workers, and then the final season, fall, you get another worker.
I think you get more than that. I think it exponentially increases. So like in spring, you get 1 or 2, and then summer you get 3. Because at the end of it, you have a lot of workers that you're trying to place. And that's something that when we first started playing this game, we only had 2 workers, and we were very confused about, well, like, how are we supposed to build all these things if we don't have enough workers to pull in the resources?
Yes, and there are, and also when it comes to the places you get resources from, there are the main ones that are always going to be part of the game board, that are part of the meadow area of slots that you can place your workers on and be like, oh, give me 2 fruit, give me fruit and a card, that kind of thing. There's also the ones in the forest areas that change with every game.
Yeah, because those ones, I think they change depending upon the number of players you have, right? Because it was like little tiles that had you put there to be different.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because we only had 3, but I think the rules change if you have 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's certain spots too in the forest where you can place your worker to get resources, and some of them are scarce resources. So if one person takes that spot, no one else can take anything from that spot. And some of them you can, and there's some technical differences if you have more players. So one that might be scarce in a 3-player game, more than one person can take that resource in a 4-player game, for example, just so that you have enough resources throughout the game. And I was wrong about the workers. You do get 1 for, where was it? You get 1 for spring, 1 for summer, and then 2 in fall.
Okay. So
you were closer. I was very wrong.
Hey, I'll take it as a win. But I mean, so our playthrough of it, I guess we were also we had the problem of beginners strife, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't really know what we were doing.
That was one gripe.
Sorry. Well, yeah, I know the gripe, how the rule book didn't help at all.
Yes.
Zero assistance.
It was a bit. It didn't
vague.
Explain the meadow or the clearing or whatever it's called, the center of the board where you put.
Oh, you put cards that you can take from the middle if you have the resources to build them for yourself. But yeah, it didn't explain that very well.
Yeah, I felt
it didn't explain changes of seasons very well, like how that's supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was a whole process for end of season, like there's a certain number of actions that needed to happen there at the end, and like it seemed like there were certain things that people could keep playing once once your workers were all used. You could still keep doing stuff as long as you had the resources to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yes, because the buying stuff from the meadow and building from your hand are not dependent on workers.
Right. And so it was the building stuff from your hand. So I don't think we explained this, but like I said earlier, the goal is to build the best little civilization, and you have a board that has, I think it's 15 spaces for cards. Yeah. And you have to build cards in those spaces based on the resources that you get from the forest. And all of them are different. They do different things. They have different perks and bonuses. But you can only ever have 15 cards on, your little village, I guess. I don't know.
Your bingo card.
Yeah, and your bingo card. And there's like only a limited amount of ways to remove cards. Like you have to get other cards to remove cards that are already there. And there's not a lot of those in the game. I guess something to note too, we only played the base game. There's a lot of expansions for this.
Mm-hmm.
And we only played the base game.
We did only play base.
Yeah. So building these cards and putting them into your little village, you could do that once you've already wasted all your workers. Once they're all spent and you already built your resources, you can still be playing cards as you're going through, because if you spent your workers to get resources, you have the resources to play cards. And then something that was different too is that certain cards, like I said, they had little perks based on, it's a store, so at the beginning of every season except spring you can do this. And I think that wasn't as clear as when is the beginning of the season, because some people run out of moves to do earlier than others. So do they do their beginning of season right then and there when they're done with it? Or do we wait until everyone's done with the seasons? Because there's also there was also an option to pull cards from the meadow. And do you do that as soon as you're done with all your moves, or do you wait? And that can have a difference in the game, because if someone else pulls the card before everyone's done, it was a bit weird as far as the timing of some of the stuff.
Yeah, the rulebook was very vague to a point of being unhelpful. and also on top of the idea that you can play things without having the resources to do it, or without having the workers rather. But you can also do it without having the resources to do it. If certain cards unlock other cards, seven wonders style.
Yeah.
It's like, if you have the farm already played, you can use that to buy one of the creatures that
like the husband and the wife.
You can put onto it. Yeah, the husband and the wife.
And you could only do one per farm.
Farm.
That was another thing that we forgot to explain, was that when you're building things on your bingo card, it's two different types of things you could do. You could either build structures with it. I think the cards called them constructions, or critters. And critters were different types of animals that provided a benefit that was different than the buildings, but it was still an interesting benefit. And it seemed like having the critters didn't get you a building. Having the building would get you a critter. I think the one that I did was I built the courthouse, and that let me get the judge, who was like a turtle or something like that. But,
It's great. But what else?
Yeah, and then there's also, I guess, like in any game like there's also objective items that only one person can get. So like if you're the first one to have 3 of a certain type of card, you can get this like feat type of thing. And
it's worth victory points at the end.
Yeah, and they're worth victory points. It seemed to me like some of the feats were a lot harder to get than the other ones. Because there is one type of card. Well,
and those are the ones also that change from game to game. You pull from a pool.
There were 2 different types of things too. Like there was like the generic like achievement ones where get 4 of the green cards and you get like the market, and the market is 4 victory points. But then there was like the more advanced ones that it was like if you have the monastery and a monk and 2 blue buildings, then you can take this and get 6 victory points. It's like, I was like, well, that's a really random combo of crap. Like you have to get lucky to make sure you get that combo.
Some
of the combos were hard to get.
I know. I was so annoyed. I had everything set up, and I was going to take 1 card from the meadow on my turn to get one of the combos, and then Nick just stole it and didn't even get the combo for it. He just took it, and I mean, I won anyway, so I don't care. But
well, yes, of course you did.
I could have won by more.
Whatever. But still, I'm pretty sure I took that card because I needed it for something. I didn't need it for the combo. I needed it for a critter or something.
Sure. Yeah.
Look, I was not playing like our brother, all right, where I'm like counting her cards, being like, well, if I take this, I can sabotage her play. No, I wasn't doing that. All right.
He's a meta player.
I'm not that smart. I can't think that far ahead.
He's a meta player and he's really good at it. Okay.
I have enough trouble cooking up plans for my own bingo card that I'm not paying attention to everyone else's bingo card. All right.
Yeah, but if we had been able to do more like playthroughs of it, I feel like it would have gone. Well, of course, it would have gone smoother. We would have known what we were doing.
Well, because it took us probably a good hour to hour and a half to play.
Yeah.
But the box itself says this game should take 20 minutes for experienced players, and I was like, wow, we
were not experienced playing.
Well, I think that's for different reasons, right? Like, we didn't play in person. We played on Tabletop Sim, which that itself takes a little bit to get used to. And I was having computer issues, so that just, like, added to it. But it also just, like, not having the stuff in front of you. It's still, like, even though you can see it on the table, it's still hard to wrap your head around what's going on the board when you're playing in Tabletop Sim versus in real life.
Yeah.
So it was still a neat game.
Mm-hmm.
Given more time, it would be better. Still, the fact that the rule book is vague made it very difficult, even no matter how experienced we were.
Yeah, the instructions could have been clearer as far as spelling out the way things are supposed to work. But as far as like the negatives versus the positives, I would definitely say this game has a lot more positives. Like yeah, I know we played on Tabletop Simulator, but it seems like this game has some amazing table presence. Because like when you open the box, like you build this little cardboard tree that is the Everdell tree, and that's where the deck of cards goes, and everything is like either under the tree or up in the boughs of the tree. So like this thing is like standing off your table like probably a good 10 to 12 inches, you know? And it looks cool.
Yeah, and the art style is great.
The art style is wonderful.
Yeah,
and
they did a fantastic job with the personification. I hope I did that right word of the animals, you know?
Yeah, there you go.
So it was really great.
Yes, it was a really neat game. Rulebook sucked.
I'm looking through the rulebook now, and it actually does tell us when we're supposed to refill the meadow.
So what you're saying is at the time, because we were like going through, like we skimmed it before we played.
Yeah.
It was one of those, like, while you're playing, you're just, like, flipping through the rulebook.
Can we go back and redact our previous statement where it's like, apparently the instructions are great. The issue, it was a user error.
And that's something, too, that it's a thing where if you don't, like, it's easier to have the physical rulebook with you, right? You're playing, let me just look at it real quick. oh, it says this, and you don't have to alt-tab away from Tabletop Sims to go read it, because it actually says, like, if a metal card is played, immediately replace it with a new card from the draw pile. And we were very confused as far as, well,
I don't know how
when
to
do we
read.
refill the meadow?
Hey, that college education's really paying off for you, Jake.
I can't read, Erica. Anyway.
But honestly, 10 out of 10. I really love this game, and it's on my list. I'm going to buy it probably post-Christmas, because all my money went to Christmas gifts.
Nice.
So in the new year, I'm definitely going to buy this game, because I think, our brother and all of because our family has slowly turned into a board game group, and I really like that. I think everybody would get a kick out of this one. Just because,
it was
like, you compared it to Seven Wonders, and I know our brother loved Seven Wonders.
Oh, yeah.
And so this would totally be up his alley. He might have to get over the cuteness of the animals and stuff like that, but
He'll be fine.
He can deal with that.
It's no Axis and Allies, and it's no Star
goodness.
Wars. What's the Star Wars one he loves?
Rebellion.
Rebellion.
He has a knack for finding table hog games that take, but like not only do they hog your table, they hog your time.
They take your day.
Like, I love Star Wars Rebellion, but by golly, it takes a good 4 to 8 hours to play through that. And that's if you know exactly what's going on and all that. But we always play it so sporadically that I'm like, refresh me on the rules again. How does this work? I mean,
yeah.
So,
but compared to those games, it's supposed to be a short little quick thing.
Yeah.
I guess everything is short comparatively.
Especially like the first round, you don't have a lot of workers to place. It's just about picking up resources as fast as you can.
Yeah.
And then as you go from that, you already have your cards in your hand as far as like what you can build, and you have an idea of what kind of thing you're working towards. And you get one additional worker per round. It's not that bad. Like, it's quick as far as getting the workers out there and getting through it. I can see this going really fast once you get into the group.
Yeah, I would compare it a lot to like us playing Castles of Burgundy. Like, you remember the first couple of times we played? It took us a while, but now we're like streamlined in that game. Like, we all know what to do. We all know where things need to get set up. So everything runs smoothly.
It was no Dragoon where y'all played it wrong for the first time and then realized after the fact that y'all played it wrong.
That wasn't Dragoon. That was Burgundy.
It was Burgundy.
So you played Dragoon with us the first time we played.
I did. I played Burgundy wrong with y'all.
Yes, we all botched Burgundy the first time.
We all botched Burgundy. Burgundy was fun, though.
The Burgundy's great. Really Definitely still in my top games. I love Burgundy.
But Everdell has given more time in our little group of board gamers. I feel like it could be really good.
Yeah, it's definitely great. Big box, like I said, great table presence. I actually I want to try out some of the expansions if we ever get a chance.
Oh yes, I want.
Because I think it's got like 6 of them, right? Like,
it's got a lot.
There's a lot of expansion.
Yeah, the Tabletop Sim, when we loaded it, it was like, which of these expansions do you want to add? And it was like a full screen, practically, of expansions.
It's like, oh god.
But
none,
yeah.
Thank you. But
it definitely is awesome. Like I said, I would recommend. Yeah.
So yeah, we discussed our video games. We discussed Everdell, and I think that's about it. Am I right, Nick?
Yeah, that seems about it. I guess we'll see you all next week.
Cool. All right. Bye, y'all.
Bye.
Bye.